Hi, and welcome to the Let's Do Video podcast. My name is David Maldo, and recently AVer sent me their latest camera, the CAM540, and I wanted to learn a little bit more about it, so I invited Carl Harvell here to join me. Carl, thanks for being here. Can you please introduce yourself and explain your role at AVer?
Thank you. My name is Carl Harvell. I'm the Director of Product Marketing at AVer. And essentially my role is to help AVer build better products by listening to the customer.
Excellent. Now, I have a few questions about this camera. Obviously, what I'm really most concerned is the functionality, how it actually works. But the first thing that stands out is the design. So let's start with the design. This definitely looks different from the previous cameras in AVer's lines. What can you tell me that went into this?
Well, I mean, we were looking at, okay, how can we build a better camera? The CAM540 that we had previously was a great camera. It produced an awesome image, but the biggest feedback we got from everyone was, can you make it a little better looking? Because we're redesigning our conference rooms, everything needs to be aesthetically pleasing, and your camera just looks like it's from the 90s. It's big, it's bulky. Can you build it a little bit, sleeker looking? And so we took that feedback and, well, we reduced the footprint on it. So it's 70% of what the CAM540 was. But the big thing about it is have a nice, cool looking wave look to it. And with that, we found that the mechanics of it actually produces a nice, good, smooth look and feel to the pan, tilt, zoom functionality of it. So yes, it's a lot smaller. It's more sleek looking. And honestly, I think we have one of the better looking cameras on the block now.
Okay. So this was a user expectations things. We've gotten to the point now where I think users take it for granted. A few years ago, they were saying, just give us a camera that works. This stuff is hard. Video conferencing is hard to make work. We've gotten really good at video conferencing. It works. The users know it, and it's worked for years. So I think they're beyond the point of we're happy if it works. They want it to look good. So I'm sure that your users are responding pretty nicely to this.
Yeah, they are. And the great thing about it is, the camera looks good with the USB connectivity in the back. We really wanted to simplify it a lot. So we still kept the RS-232 connection, but the USB-C connector in the back. That enables USB 3.0 connectivity. And it really just makes for a really simple install. You two connections, you plug it in, or three if you're using custom room integration. But it really simplifies a video install.
Now, it is, there's only a few connections on the back. It does look like it'd be very simple to install, but my understanding is this isn't really a simple camera. This is what we're starting to refer to as edge devices. And without going into the whole IoT thing, we're wanting a lot more information from our cameras. We want to know how many people are in the room. We wanted to do more things. We wanted to track sometimes. And you can just have a camera and have all that controlled out in the cloud. Or you could put some computing power in the camera and do that on the edge. So is this a smart camera? Is that the right word?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the right words in it. It does have technology in there that we coined a smart frame, and there's other manufacturers doing it. It's one of the trends right now, like what you talked about, where people are wanting more information because we're a data-driven society. So what we do have in this camera here are smart frame capabilities to where it'll face detect, and it will let cloud vendors know, like Zoom, know how many people are in the room in the video call. It will detect faces and automatically frame. And it's one of the scenarios we're looking at, and we're saying, well, do we turn that on automatically? Do we have it to where the camera is always going to look at a face and zoom out, zoom in? And so we approached it with a choice option for users, which is people will have a choice. They'll have a single button to push where, if they're in a scenario in a conference room to where anybody new walks in, they want to auto frame it, they could press one button, it'll auto frame and connect up. There's an auto option to where it's continually looking, and if it notices new people in the room, it'll automatically zoom out and zoom in. Sometimes people don't want any framing at all, and you just want it turned off because they want to control the camera themselves, and you'll still have that option. So depending upon companies' cultures, the meeting altogether, they could turn it on and off. That's all a choice that they'll have.
That makes sense. I think we want the cameras to have the basic capabilities, but there's so many different workflows. There's so many different ways people are doing meetings. We want them to be able to customize. I mean, if your meetings are in a private room and anyone who walks into that room is going to be a part of that meeting, you want the camera to reframe on them. They're going to be part of the meeting. If your meeting room is in an area and the water cooler is right there, you don't want it reframing every time someone gets a cup of water. They're not part of the meeting. They can be out of it. So you don't want to force workflow on users. You want to give them the options.
Yeah, exactly. There's times I'm working from home and, my kids will come in, they want to ask me a question or something like that. And I allow them. I have an open door policy at home. And so, I know how to use a mute button and stuff, but, I want them out of the frame. I don't want them to zoom in and reframe on them. So yeah, it's.
Well, there was that famous video where some sort of science expert was on a newscast and his kid came in the room and he panicked. And instead of just acting like a person and saying, hold on a second, let me take my kid out, he just froze. And it looked like a deer in the headlights. He was like, there's no kid there. I don't see any kid. And it was an awkward move. But if he had control over his camera framing a little better, maybe he could have handled that a little better.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly what we try to strive for is give the user control or the IT admin control to either lock it down or allow users to have it. But that's always one of the big options with deciding, okay, what kind of technology you're going to put into the camera and how you're going to let it work and let users have power over it.
Speaking of the users, who is the target for this? What kind of meeting rooms? What kind of customers? Large enterprise, medium enterprise? Where should we expect to be seeing these cameras show up?
Okay, so the CAM540 it's a 4K camera. So, the resolution could definitely go high, but it's one of the scenarios where the optics on it are, 3x3, and it has a little bit of a digital zoom. Perfect for small to medium, large conference rooms. The CAM520, the previous one that's still on the market right now, to me, that one has a 12-time optic zoom. And, it's a bigger, bulkier camera. That one is still better for the very large conference rooms to breakout meeting rooms that, you'll have for very, very large conferences. So the big target for the CAM540 is for more of that mid-range, small, mid to medium, large conference room segments there. Up to about 6 times zoom, it's still on par with the CAM520. CAM520 does better in larger room scenarios, but man, the CAM540 with those small conference rooms, small offices, key target right there, as well as streaming services. When you want to get up to 4K resolutions and you're going to do a broadcast and you want a good solution with that with pan-tilt zoom capabilities, it'll be perfect for it.
Great. So that's all the time we have, but we will continue this conversation with Carl in LDV Podcast 43. Thanks for watching.